Draw your last pathetic card so I can end this, Yugi.
My grandpa's deck has no pathetic cards, Kaiba. But it does contain... I've assembled all 5 special cards. All 5 pieces of the puzzle.
It's not possible! No one's ever been able to call him!
Obliterate!
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fantasy Finance, where today we will be jumping into the iconic world of Yu-Gi-Oh! This is one of my favorite animes growing up, and actually it kind of still is, and sometimes I actually go back and rewatch some of the old arcs, especially the Battle City arc from time to time. Now it's still got me screaming enemy controller commands at the TV.
Enemy controller, activate! Left, right, A, B!
Before we dive into the mind-blowing costs of the iconic duel discs, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone and highlight some of the awesome comments on the first 2 videos. You guys are awesome and I love the energy. So moving forward, what we're going to do is highlight some of the coolest comments from the previous video. So please guys, get in the comments, hit the like, hit the subscribe button of course, and drop some comments on what kind of videos you guys would like to see, some of your favorite fictional towns and fictional cities that you'd love for me to visit, and get in a comment and just put it in there. And of course hit the poll button, because I will be dropping stuff in the channel polls as well. But thank you everyone. Now let's shift gears into today's topic. Now, have you ever wondered what it would really cost to wield a Yu-Gi-Oh Duel Disk? Spoiler alert, it's way more than you actually think. But today we're going to be breaking down the shocking expenses behind KaibaCorp's Duel Disk from the Battle City tournament. From high-tech materials to cutting-edge holograms, we're going to reveal why owning one might leave 99% of duelists out in the cold. So fasten your seatbelts and lend me your key, because this one's not only going to be long, but I'm going to be showing everybody why 99% of duelists will not be able to afford one in real life. Now, as a huge fan of the show, I need a moment to nerd out for a quick second. Now, can we just take a moment of silence for the day that Seto Kaiba threw his prized and ultra rare Blue Eyes White Dragon card like it was a ninja star? Seriously, bro, there are literally only 3 of those cards in the entire world, and he threw that at someone like it was an actual ninja star. That scene still haunts me till this day, and I don't know if it was the dumbest thing I've ever seen or if it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. I don't know, I can't make my mind up. But yeah, anyway, let's dive into what makes his dual disc system so special. Alright, let's go. Now before we dive into the specifics of the dual disc, let's take a quick trip down memory lane and revisit the origins of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now this franchise has captivated millions, but did you know where it all started? And let me tell you, the first place was from the manga. First up, the Yu-Gi-Oh manga, created by Kazuki Takahashi, was serialized in the Weekly Shonen Jump starting on September 30th, 1996. Now the manga laid the foundation for the entire franchise, introducing us to the world of Duel Monsters and the iconic characters we know and love. Next came the trading card game. This was launched by Konami in Japan on February 4th, 1996. This quickly grew to become a global phenomenon, with millions of players collecting and dueling with their favorite cards. Finally, we have the anime. Now, the first anime series, often referred to as Season 0, aired in Japan in 1998. However, the more widely recognized Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters anime, produced by Studio Gallop, started airing on April 18, 2000. This series brought the Duel Monsters to life with amazing and stunning animations and unforgettable storylines. Yu-Gi-Oh! Follows the story of Yugimoto, a young boy who solves an ancient Egyptian puzzle and awakens the spirit of an ancient pharaoh. Now together, they challenge various opponents in high-stakes card games known as Duel Monsters. Yugimoto, the protagonist, is known for his kind heart and strategic mind. and his alter ego, the Pharaoh, is fearless and brings a competitive edge to his dueling. Now on the flip side, we have Seto Kaiba. He's the CEO of KaibaCorp. Now Kaiba is Yugi's main rival, a duelist who's also obsessed with power and perfection, who is constantly striving to be the best. Now let's talk about how Duel Monsters is actually played. The game revolves around summoning monsters, activating spells, and setting traps to defeat your opponent. Each player starts with a deck of cards, and the goal is to reduce the opponent's life points from 8,000 to 0, or in the anime from 4,000 to 0. Players take turns drawing cards and playing them onto the field. Now you can summon monsters to attack or defend, activate spell cards for powerful effects, and set trap cards to surprise your opponent. The thrill of Duel Monsters lies in its complexity and the endless combinations of cards. Each duel is a test of wits, skill, and sometimes sheer willpower. And then that's where Duel Disk come in. It's not just a fancy card holder, it's also a game changer, and it brings the cards to life. So, what exactly is a Duel Disk? Now, in the Yu-Gi-Oh universe, a Duel Disk is a portable device used by duelists to play the game Duel Monsters. It allows players to duel anywhere and anytime, projecting holographic images of the cards in play to create an immersive and interactive experience. To use a Duel Disk, a duelist loads their card deck into the device, shuffles and draws their opening hand. They then place cards into the appropriate card zones, and the Duel Disk projects the corresponding holograms onto the field. Players take turns following the rules of the game until one player's life point reaches 0, declaring the other player the winner. Think of it as a fancy way of you take your stack of cards, you put it into the machine, you play until one person loses and you decided the winner. The Duel Disk made its debut in the Battle City arc of the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, replacing the original Duel Arena setup. Now this shift allowed duels to happen anywhere, anytime, making them much more flexible and exciting. Now the KaibaCorp research and development team must have spent crazy hours pushing to perfect this technology, and just to ensure that it could handle the rigors of real-time dueling. The Duel Disk isn't just a piece of tech, it's a reflection of the characters who use it. Kaiba's Duel Disk is sleek, advanced and powerful, just like him, whereas Yugi's on the other hand symbolizes the connection that he has to the ancient past and his strategic mind. Each duel tells a story about its owner, adding another layer of depth to the dueling experience. So what makes a Duel Disk so special? For starters, it uses incredibly advanced holographic technology to create lifelike images of monsters and spells during a duel. This means it can project 3D images in real time that look like they're actually there. They interact with physical cards and respond to the player's commands almost instantly. Now, once you visualize being able to have a holographic image that you can speak with, you can interact with, and it feeds back to you instantaneously. That's incredible, and I don't think there's anything like that out there. Now let's quickly break down some of the key features of a Duel Disk. 1. Holographic projection. Now using special light technology to create detailed 3D images that look real from different angles. 2. Card scanners and card zones. These are slots where duelists can place their cards with specific areas for monster cards, spell cards, or trap cards. 3. Wireless communication. Duel Disks need to talk to each other using a secure wireless connection to keep the game running smoothly between players. 4. Life point counter. A digital display that keeps track of each player's life points throughout the duel. 5. A communication system. Duel Disks can communicate with each other to synchronize game states and ensure fair play. Now, holograms are at the heart of the Duel Disk's appeal. In the anime, these holograms are incredibly detailed and dynamic, capable of interacting with the environment and responding to the duelist's actions. While in reality, creating such advanced holograms requires incredibly sophisticated technology. I mean, holographic displays use lasers or LEDs to project light in a way that makes it appear as if they're floating in the air. Now let's come back to reality for a moment. Now, to bridge the gap between the current technology available to us now and the holograms that's seen in the anime, we can look at AR technology, also known as augmented reality. Now, AR glasses could be used to enhance the dual disc experience, overlaying digital monsters onto physical playing field. Now, this technology is already being used in various applications from gaming to industrial industry, and it could bring us one step closer to making the dual discs a reality. Let's take a look at a few real-world examples of AR. Number 1, Microsoft HoloLens. Now, it's a mixed reality headset that overlays a holographic image onto the real world. Number 2, Magic Leap. That's an AR device that allows users to interact with digital content in their environment. And number 3, your smartphone. Now, smartphone AR games like Pokemon Go or HoloGrid AR, showcase how mobile devices can create interactive experiences using AR. Modern holographic technology like Microsoft's HoloLens or Magic Leap offers some of these capabilities. Now, these devices use a combination of optics and digital processing to overlay virtual images onto the real world. However, scaling these up to the level that we've seen in Yu-Gi-Oh, that would be a massive engineering challenge, requiring breakthroughs in both hardware and software. Now, this brings us to the next big topic: the challenges in developing a dual disc system. And that's where we're going to delve into some of the major obstacles and how they contribute to the extremely high costs. You ready? Going through some of the major challenges that contribute to the high costs. First one up on the list: unique animations and vocal work. Now, picture this: each specific card from Duel Monsters is going to require unique animations and vocal work, which is a monumental task given the infinite combinations and interactions between cards. Now, let me explain that. Imagine if every Pokemon in Pokemon Go had its own unique animations and sound effects. Now, that level of detail that we're talking about is insane. The complexity would drive the cost up significantly, because you'd always have to think about all the different cards and how they all interacted with each other. Number 2, accommodating future cards. Now, the dual disc must be able to handle current cards, but it also has to handle future card releases, like the rare Egyptian god cards. Now, this makes the design incredibly complex. It's like trying to future-proof a game console for games that don't even exist yet. 3, high development costs. The project complexity would drive costs into the millions of dollars per dual disc. Consider the need for the tailored animations and voiceover for every potential card interaction. The development costs would skyrocket. Think of it as developing a new AAA video game for each set of cards. 4, technological limitations. Now, touchable holograms like those in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime don't even exist yet. AR and VR can create immersive experiences, but they can't mimic physical interactions. Now, this tech limitation is a significant challenge, and it drives up costs. Now, imagine trying to touch a hologram with your phone. To be honest, we're just not there yet, and I don't know if we're going to be there yet anytime soon. 5, hardware constraints. Now, current AR and VR headsets are bulky and are not designed for the seamless lightweight use that you see in the anime. Making a dual disc that works and is wearable is a huge challenge. It's like trying to pack a gaming PC's power into a smartwatch. 6, integration of multiple technologies. Now, combining RFID, AR, high resolution displays, and real-time computing into a single portable device is a complex engineering challenge. Now, each technology has its own set of requirements and limitations, making integration difficult and expensive. Think of it as building a spaceship that has to function perfectly on its own without any ground support. 7, software and hardware synchronization. Now, ensuring that the software accurately synchronizes with the hardware to provide real-time feedback and interactions is crucial. Now, any lag or misalignment could ruin the dueling experience. which means investing in high quality components and thorough testing. It's like ensuring your smart home devices all talk to each other perfectly. Any hiccup can throw everything off. Just to summarize some of the key points there. Imagine trying to hold a conversation with a hologram right now. Now, you might just be talking into thin air, but the technology to create solid, touchable holograms doesn't come close to existing even yet. So while we can project images with AR, the idea of a fully interactive and physical hologram like in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, it's still science fiction, sadly. Now this again immensely drives up the costs because the tech would need to be revolutionary and portable for use anywhere on the go. Now, with these challenges in mind, how about we actually take a second to break down some of the specific materials involved in building a duel disk. So before we dive into hardware and software integration costs, let's just have a quick chat about real-world labor costs, because we all know this stuff doesn't get put together by itself. Well, not now anyway. Maybe in 50 years we've got robots, or maybe not 50, maybe 100 years, and we've got robots handling that stuff for us full-time. But diving into real-world labor costs, as I said, these things don't get built by themselves. So if we make an assumption that it takes about 200 hours to build one duel disk, and we pay a skilled laborer $50 per hour, we're looking at around $10,000 per unit because of labor. And this is a conservative estimate because it also depends on where you live. If you live in somewhere maybe it's like China, where it's a little bit cheaper to build, versus if you wanted to manufacture this in England or in California in America. And one more point, we also have to factor in other aspects such as project management, quality assurance, potential overtime, engineering costs. Things really start to skyrocket out of control. Now for the fun bit. So let's dive into the high-tech integration that makes the duel disk really special. Now in this part of the program, what we're going to do is we're going to break down all the costs that might go into it, and then we're going to put it all together and see where we are at the end of the show. You guys ready? All right, so let's dive in. Number 1, headset and VR technology. Now we'd use augmented reality AR headsets like Microsoft HoloLens or Magic Leap to project holograms. Now these headsets range from $1,000 to $3,000 each. Now for our calculations, let's say an average of $2,000. We kind of be using it as a baseline to come up with the tech that we're going to use in future. Number 2, research and development costs. Now developing the AR and holographic image projection systems will require significant research and development. Now based on similar tech projects, we can estimate that this would cost around 20 million or more. Now this includes developing custom software, prototyping and testing. And we're also making a slight assumption here that the actual technology is somewhat available for us to use. 3, programming and AI integration. Now creating real-time holographic projections, card recognition and game state synchronization is no small feat. Now estimating from advanced software development projects, we are looking at around $5 million for initial software development and integration. This covers the creation of algorithms for the holographic rendering and card detection using RFID or image recognition and game mechanics. 4, scanner technology. We need high precision RFID readers or image recognition systems to read the card data. We estimate the cost of RFID read chips to be around over $200 per unit. Number 5, art assets and 3D modeling. Now this is where it starts to get really expensive. Each Yu-Gi-Oh card requires a 3D model and animation. Now creating these assets is not only a labor-intensive endeavor, but it's also expensive. You're creating 3D models and animations for each card, and that's very expensive. Now for reference, The Witcher 2 spent millions on its art. Now we estimate we're looking at 10 million or more to create all these detailed models and animations needed for the duel disk. Don't forget, there are over 12,000 cards in existence. Number 6, server and network costs. To handle real-time data exchange and synchronization between dual disks, we need reliable wireless communication and servers. This includes the latest Wi-Fi 6 modules and server infrastructure. This adds approximately another $500,000 for initial setup and ongoing maintenance. So let's break this down and tally it up. AR headset, $2,000 per unit. Research and development for holographic and AR technology, $20 million. Programming and AI development, $5 million. Scanner technology, $200 per unit. 3D modeling and animation, $10 million. Network and server costs, $500,000. Labor and manufacturing, $10,000 per unit. Ongoing development and support, $3.5 million annually. Now remember, these costs have been based on similar technologies and other kind of tech development that are currently in existence. Now, as you can see, we're totaling all of this up for just one single unit. Now, considering the fixed and variable costs, the manufacturing and development of a dual disk comes to an astronomical sum. But remember, we're dealing with KaibaCorp here. So when it comes to KaibaCorp tech, Kaiba only expects the best. And before we move on to the final breakdown of costs, so that's just the manufacturing cost. Before we get down to the final breakdown of costs, let's quickly slide to what kind of economic impact this would have on the world if we did have dual disks in existence. So, exploring the economic impact. So in the Yu-Gi-Oh universe, the high cost of dual disks could have a significant impact on the economy. Only the wealthiest duelists would be able to afford them, creating a gap between the elite and the average player. This economic disparity could lead to a competitive imbalance where only those with deep pockets could afford to stay on top of the game. Essentially just pay to win. Socially, dual disks would be a major status symbol. Now, owning one would not only showcase your wealth, but also that you are dedicated and you are passionate for dueling. Imagine a social clout for walking around with a dual disk on your arm. It's a state-of-the-art device strapped to your body. It is literally like the ultimate flex in the dueling community. Real-world parallels. So we see similar trends in the real world with luxury items such as high-end sports cars, designer watches, or latest tech gadgets. These items are more than just functional. They symbolize status, success, and exclusivity. Just like a dual disk, owning such a luxury item can elevate your social standing and signal that you are an elite member of society. Economic and social consequences. However, this exclusivity can also lead to economic and social consequences. Now, the high price tag of a dual disk could discourage new players from entering the game, stifling the growth of the dueling community, and additionally, it could create a sense of alienation amongst the less affluent duelists. If you didn't have money and you couldn't afford one, it would really put off some people from actually joining the community and playing the game. And ultimately, it could potentially lead to a more divided community. So while lowering the cost of a dual disk might seem outrageous, it fits perfectly within the world of Yu-Gi-Oh, where the stakes are high and the rewards are even higher. The dual disk represents the pinnacle of dueling technology, but it also highlights the economic and social divides that exist in both the fictional and real worlds. Now, lastly, before we get into the final costs, I'm just going to tackle some of the, address some potential counterpoints. Now, I can imagine some of you say, hey, Fantasy Finance, why can't you just make a cheaper version of it? Well, theoretically, it is possible to create a simplified version of the dual disk, but it would lack many of the high-end features that make it so iconic. You could cut costs, but by using cheaper materials, you'd be reducing the complexity of the holographic displays. But then it wouldn't be really a true dual disk. And the real magic lies in the advanced technology of the craftsmanship. Now, with that all said and done, let's get to the final price reveal. I know that's what everybody's waiting for. In the tech industry, the final retail price often includes a markup of 50% to 100% to cover marketing, distribution, and profit margins. Now, using Apple's Vision Pro as a benchmark, which is priced at around $3,500 with similar high R&D and development costs, let's apply the similar markup. Now, these markups aren't just about making profit. They cover essential business costs. Now, for example, marketing campaigns are crucial to building awareness and driving sales, while distribution costs ensure that the product reaches consumers around the world. Additionally, companies need to account for after-sales support, warranty services, and future software updates, all of which are factored into the final price. So, let's apply this to our Duel Disk. So we previously tallied together all the manufacturing costs in order to produce a Duel Disk, and that came to a staggering $12,980 per unit. And I get it, everyone's now asking the question, now if that's the manufacturing cost, what exactly am I going to pay? Or what exactly are you going to pay? Now, this is the next question that we're going to answer. Now, remember, as we discussed earlier, when it comes to markups, we're going to have to factor in between our 50 to 100% markup on it. So, drum roll. We are looking at a grand an astronomical retail price, which ranges between $19,470 and, on the higher side, $25,960. Yikes. Let that just soak that in for a moment. And unfortunately, this is what we're looking at the moment if we would try and develop such tech. So yeah, that is a hefty price tag for a Duel Disk, making it a luxury item that only the most dedicated and wealthiest duelists could afford. So better start saving those pennies and dollars. Firstly, I just want to thank everybody who sat through that mind-breaking level of detail and math. I appreciate it. I love everyone. This one took me a long time to do, hence the delay in the next video. So I appreciate it, and I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I love these kind of weird questions, and I hope you guys really enjoyed going through this level of detail with me. Now, let's drop down to something a little bit more fun. So I thought let's add a little bit of a bonus round. So we're going to come up with 3 pros and 3 cons of having such an expensive piece of kit on your arm. So let's take it through what we're going to do, the pros and cons, and this has nothing to do with cost, by the way. So yeah, we're gone away from cost now. So pro number 1, impressive display. So Duel Disks make dueling look so cool and so amazing, and it makes it look so professional that hey, you look cool as hell using one. Secondly, enhanced gameplay. The added immersive layer to the game would make it so much more exciting. You could sit there, you could scream. It would just bring the whole thing to life. Number 3, there is the status symbol. See, I'm not saying wearing one is going to get you a member of the opposite sex or same sex or whatever. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying it would be a low-key flex if you're walking around with one. So that would be my number 3 pro to it. So let's move on to the cons of having such a piece of kit on you. Con number 1, it could potentially be heavy and bulky. Now I know, let's live in the real world. I know it's like in the anime, it's like, it's tiny and it weighs as much as a wristwatch, but realistically that's not going to be the case. It's going to be heavy, bulky, and potentially a weapon to hit somebody with. So Duel Disks are not going to be portable, and you're just going to have to carry that thing on your arm all the time. Number 2, technical glitches. Now, as we know, high-tech devices can sometimes malfunction. And imagine you are in the grand finals, or you are in a heated match, and your life points, it has a glitch and your life points disappear or something happens, that would suck ultimately. And con number 3, now let us be honest, con number 3, walking around with such expensive gear is gonna get you robbed, man. You're gonna get jacked. Let's be real. Walking around with $25,000 on your wrist, even I might think about robbing you. If I saw you, I'd go into ski mask mode, and I'm sorry. Hey, I'm a duelist, but hey, I'm just saying that is a lot. That is a very expensive piece of kit to walk around. And look, if you're not walking around like Mayweather with your own security team, it's only a matter of time before you're gonna get jacked, man. So what do you guys think? Is the duel disk worth the price, or would you rather just stick to the traditional dueling methods? Now, I personally am praying in my lifetime that I get to use one of these, but in the meantime, I will keep preparing my offspring by brainwashing them in the way of Duel Monsters so they can carry on my legacy once the tech becomes available. Now, here's a fun fact to end on. So did you know in the Battle City tournament, there were actually only 45 competitors, but only 8 were finalists. Now this means 40 people were eliminated from, and Battle City didn't have a cash prize like the Duelist Kingdom tournament. But even if you were eliminated, you got to go home with potentially a $25,960 piece of state-of-the-art kit hardware. You got to go home with one of these pieces. So shout out to Kaiba. He wasn't just a ruthless businessman, he was also kind of a generous tech benefactor. Well, kind of, sort of. That's if he didn't have his people take it back off you at the end, you know, but who knows, I wasn't there. Again, I'd just like to thank everyone for watching. If you stuck around this long, you're awesome. If you couldn't stuck around that long and you have to binge it, you have to do it in parts, you're still awesome anyway. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Come on, do all 3: like, comment and subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of our deep dives into the costs of favorite fictional items. Now if you've got a suggestion for our next video, drop it in the comment and vote on the channel poll. People, vote. I'm putting these polls so you can vote, so please use it. Thank you again. And remember, wait, I was going to use my usual phrase, but let's just go with a new one for today. So remember, in fantasy finance, the adventure is in the numbers, and I will see you guys next time. Auf Wiedersehen.